What up, y'all? Today I am coming to y'all with a very interesting word. And I don't have my little setup with my good camera. So y'all gotta work with me with the dingy one. It's all right. We'll make it work. But today's word is interesting. I actually didn't take any notes. This is just meat I'm giving y'all from what I received the other day in reading this text. So I will be coming from Genesis, and it is Genesis 12. It is 10 through 20, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, 10 through 20, and we will be discussing what do I want to call it? What do I want to call it? Um, mm, the importance of a partner that plays their position. The importance of a partner that plays their position. And we will be going into just looking at Abram and Sarai. She was still Sarai, he was still Abram at the time. There was a famine in the land, in the promised land, that was for Abram. But because of the famine, they ended up going to Egypt to get away from the famine, right? And so, in the process of heading towards Egypt, Abram had to tell Sarah, he prayed to Sarah, and he was like, look, you're very beautiful. You're very beautiful, right? The Egyptians are going to see you, and because of you, if you tell them that you're my wife, they will kill me. If you tell them you are my wife, they will kill me because of you. Woo! If you tell them you are my wife, they will kill me because of you. So Abram already knew the good thing that he had, right? Not just internally, but outwardly, right? He knew that Sarai was a beautiful woman, and he also knew his enemy, right? He knew that the Egyptians would kill him because of the beauty of his woman. And so he asked Sarai, tell them that you are my sister. Now, Abram and Sarai, they go to Egypt, and because of Sarai, everything happened just as Abram stated it would happen, right? And so the Egyptians see her, they take her, they show her off to the king. The king takes Sarai. They ended up getting married. But because of Sarai and her relationship with the Egyptian king at the time, Abram ends up getting blessed because of Sarai being his sister as far as the Egyptians were concerned, right? So because Sarai informed them that, or she went along with the lie, right? Because in essence, they were lying, right? Sarai definitely was not his wife, but Sarai knew to play her position so that her husband could survive. Now, this is very important, especially if you know you have a calling by God and you know that you're called to do something great in this nation, whether it is being the father or mother of nations. You have to have a strong partner who is able to navigate the different challenges and obstacles that you're going to come up against because of who you are, because of your relationship with God, right? And so, because Abram knew who he was and he knew of his relationship with God, he knew of his relationship with his wife, and he was well aware of the partner that he chose. His partner, also being his loving wife, agreed to go along with the lie so that Abram and Sarai could survive this current situation. See, oftentimes we choose partners because of their outward aesthetic, right? But when you have a heavy call on your life, you have to have a partner that knows how to properly play their position, even if it's being in an uncomfortable situation, just for you to be able to survive what is going on in your life, right? You can't just be with anyone because anyone wouldn't have been able to deal with this said situation, right? In the word, it says, when we look at verse 13, it says, please save my life by saying that you are my sister. Could you imagine if Sarai was the type of woman who was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that. You're my husband. I'm gonna say you're my husband." And she went in doing all of these stupid things, and now Abram's dead. And God's whole plan is ruined because Abram decided to choose a wife that wasn't aware of how to play her position. Then it goes on and it says, as soon as Abram and Sarai arrived in Egypt, the Egyptians noticed how beautiful she was. The king's officials told him about her, and she was taken to his house. The king was good to Abram because of Sarai, and Abram was given sheep, cattle, donkeys, slaves, and camels. Because of Sarai, the Lord struck the king and everyone in his palace with terrible diseases. Do you know that when you are called to do something great in the earth and you choose a partner who is able to play their position properly in that role that you are called to do for God, that God will deal with the people that wrong you or violate your relationship? You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Because of the king's relationship with Sarai, the Lord ended up plaguing Egypt. He ended up plaguing this kingdom. And the king ended up releasing Abram and Sarai because they didn't want to deal with the plagues. And not only did they release Abram and Sarai, they released them with all of the possessions that were given to them because of Sarai's relationship with this king. See, when you are called to do something great in the earth, who you choose as a partner matters because everybody couldn't go along with something like this. Could you imagine being Abram, knowing that that's your wife, whom you love, whom God has given to you as your good thing, and knowing that she is laying with another man in the same place that you have to lay your head at and not say a word just so you can survive and get to the next part of your mission and the next part of the vision that God is calling you to walk out? See, some of our egos are a little too big, a little too inflated. Because do you know how humble or how low you have to bring yourself to be able to love somebody through some mess like that? And of course, we can spin this narrative all types of different ways, right? That Abram was okay with it because it wasn't him that had to be used, it was his wife. It was not him, right? We can look at it different ways. But at the end of everything, when all of this was said and done, Abram still left with Sarai. And it was still Abram and Sarai's seed who became the seed. The Abram and Sarai were still the father and mother of many nations, right? I am Abraham and many sons. That was because of Abram and Sarai. This was just a season in his walk, in his mission, in his calling, right? Where he had to have his wife, his partner, the person that he loved, lie. It was a lie. There's no other way to spin it. It was a lie. So they could be saved. So he could be saved. So he could still end up fulfilling the mission and the calling that was on his life with God. If you know you are called to do something great in this earth and you have a partner that you're able to walk this thing out, you have to pick someone who is able to play their position without the extra unnecessary emotions. It's important. It's important to be so in tune with your leadership, with your guidance. God was his guidance. And even though they endured this situation for whatever length of time, God was the one who still turned around and spun the block because he knew that Sarai belonged to Abram. He did not belong, Sarai did not belong to this Egyptian king. She belonged to Abram. And because of Abram's relationship with God, God still turned around and dealt with them because the king should have never been with Sarai. If you are out here and you're still trying to love in the midst of whatever challenging situation you may be experiencing, as you are doing your best to walk out the calling that God has on your life, you can't be with anybody, because you're going to have a partner that knows how to play their position. There are going to be some things that God is going to call you to do, that God is going to have you do. And if you're with somebody like a Delilah, they're going to be more concerned with the information that they can get out of you, with the image of you, because you make them look good, versus the heart of who you are, right? We're not doing that in 2025. So make sure, as you are navigating your walk, and as things continue to do whatever they're going to do in this earth, that you are standing beside somebody who's going to stand on business, even if the business that they have to stand on is uncomfortable, so you can ensure that you make it to the finish line that God has called you to. This walk, as believers, as children of God, as people who are on assignment to fulfill what God needs fulfilled in this earth, you can't just be with anybody. You have to be with somebody who's going to understand their position, who's going to understand what they need to do to make sure and ensure that you get to the next step, you get to the next level. It's not all going to make sense. It's not all going to feel good. It's not all going to look good. It's not even going to all sound good. I couldn't, woo, what? You mean to tell me you're my husband, but I have to go and marry this person and be silent about it and endure whatever the creepy things this person might want to do? Also, we can get to the next level and the next position and still be okay with moving forward together after everything that's taking place. You got to be real strong to be able to play your position in these times ahead. Whew. The importance of having a partner that plays their position. This came out of Genesis 12. It was verses 10 through 20 if you want to go back and read it. But yeah. Make sure you choose wisely. A lot of people got engaged at the end of the year. That was very beautiful. Congratulations to all of you that are about to walk into a new chapter and season of your life. But if you know that you have a call on your life, make sure you choose a partner that understands the importance of playing their position for the things that you are called to do in this earth. Love is a beautiful thing. And it's very beautiful when you can navigate the trials and the tribulations with somebody that's going to have your back and stand beside you, regardless of what anybody and everybody else has to say concerning you. So hopefully all of you did well choosing a partner that has their own mind and can validate their own thoughts and opinions concerning who you are, because it's important. So yeah. Love y'all later. Until next time.